Thank you. Hold on. I'll be right back.
You need to get dressed. You coming with us.
Come with you where?
Holly need to talk to you right now.
You forgot how to use a phone?
Listen, that last thing you pulled with him, he preferred to do business like this.
Hey.
Ain't no hey, I got a gun.
Listen. Put the
I'm
gun
not
down.
putting his gun down.
Hey, look, could you...
I'm not looking at you.
No,
Get your shit on, let's go.
Am I making sense? Right? Stupid mother... I don't need this shit. Shit.
The movie begins with a sudden attack, when a thug pulls out a knife and strikes without warning. Within seconds, he is already on the ground. His companions rush in, believing they can overpower the man, but they make a fatal mistake. They don't realize they are facing a trained martial arts expert. In moments, the tables turn, and the group is completely defeated. A few days earlier, Jackson is woken up early in the morning by a phone call from his partner, Money. He is asked to deal with a man who has been abusing his family. Jackson goes straight to the man's gym and first tries to handle the situation calmly. He even helps him with his workout, hoping to resolve things without violence. But as soon as the man understands why Jackson is there, his behavior changes, and the situation quickly turns aggressive.
Read this shit. First of all, you don't even know what she did. You gonna come into my gym and chastise me about my wife? You better get the out of here while you still can.
When the attack comes, Jackson is ready. With precise and controlled moves, he takes the man down and completely dominates the fight. Even when the man attempts a sneaky counterattack, Jackson shuts it down instantly. Realizing he has no chance, the man finally gives in. Jackson makes him promise to never hurt his family again, and leaves without unnecessary drama. The next day, Jackson meets Money at a bar, which also serves as their base of operations. The two have built an organization that helps people deal with serious problems when no one else will. Money handles the requests, while Jackson takes care of the action, earning a reputation as someone who can handle any situation. Later, Jackson notices a suspicious deal happening in the bar and steps in. One man escapes, but the other chooses to fight and is quickly subdued. After security takes over, Jackson returns to the main area, where he unexpectedly runs into Sophia, his ex-girlfriend. The two reconnect easily, sharing a relaxed conversation about their lives. Jackson explains his work, and Sophia mentions she's there for the live band. Before leaving, they agree to meet again. Soon after, Jackson invites Sophia to his new home. She admires his style, and when she notices a wooden training dummy, she demonstrates a Wing Chun routine, hinting that their shared past and connection are far from over. Jackson is slightly surprised when he realizes how much Sophia has improved. He doesn't remember teaching her all these techniques. Sophia admits that she genuinely fell in love with Wing Chun. After their breakup, she continued training seriously, searching for skilled instructors and refining her abilities. Standing in front of Jackson, she takes a proper martial stance, and the two begin sparring. What starts as light practice gradually turns more intense. Their movements fast and instinctive, until the moment fades into something far more personal. Jackson is later jolted awake by loud, urgent knocking at his door. Sophia has returned with a porcelain vase she bought for him, but before he can even take it in, the situation turns dangerous. A man dressed in black suddenly points a gun at Jackson and orders him to get dressed and follow him. The man claims his boss, Halen, wants to see him. Jackson refuses and deliberately stalls, acting casual as if the argument means nothing. In reality, he's waiting for the right moment. When the chance comes, Jackson disarms the man, though the struggle ends with the porcelain vase shattered on the floor. More men rush in, but despite their size and strength, they are no match for Jackson's combat skills. One by one, they are taken down. Afterward, Jackson calmly instructs the building staff to clean up and decides it's time to confront Halen himself. At the same time, a famous singer named Giari is finishing a long recording session. After more than a full day of non-stop work, all she wants is to go home. Although her manager continues to push her, he eventually backs down. Exhausted, Giari gets into her private car, only to notice the driver is unfamiliar. He reassures her and drives off, while elsewhere, Jackson storms straight into Halen's company. Jackson throws the broken pieces of the vase onto Halen's desk and demands compensation. It becomes clear that the two men have a shared past. Halen admits he sent his people deliberately, knowing it would force Jackson to come see him. Without hesitation, Halen orders his staff to pay Jackson for the damage. Then he reveals the real reason for the meeting. Giari has gone missing, and he wants Jackson to find her. Halen explains that going to the police would create too much attention, especially since his company is about to go public. Any scandal involving Giari could ruin everything. He also reminds Jackson that he once served as Giari's bodyguard and knows her well. Halen suspects she may have fallen back into old habits, and Jackson's task is simple but risky: to avoid the paparazzi. After thinking it through, Jackson agrees, but only on his terms. He demands half the payment up front and the rest once Giari is found. Halen immediately hands over the money, but Jackson still remains cautious. Before leaving, he approaches the receptionist, hoping to learn more about Giari. Jackson leaves his contact information and walks away. Later, Jackson returns to the bar and pulls money into the control room. He explains everything and says he needs time off. Money is concerned, knowing Halen's reputation and Jackson's complicated history with Giari. Still, realizing the danger Giari may be in, Money stops arguing. Jackson then asks the one question that matters most. Does Money have any idea where Giari might be? Money tells Jackson that Giari was very close to someone named Gina. From what he knows, Gina is a wealthy figure who owns a nightclub in a nearby district. Jackson wants to ask more, but before he can, Sophia suddenly messages him. Ever since they reconnected, Jackson has barely made time for her, often missing her calls. Trying to smooth things over, Jackson sends her a bouquet of flowers. But even that feels rushed, because he is already preparing to leave again. Sophia is left frustrated and disappointed, feeling that he could have done much better. Jackson explains that a lot has happened over the past few days, and when she still doesn't calm down, he finally admits the truth: that Halen has hired him to find Giari. Instead of easing the tension, the confession makes things worse. Sophia knows Jackson once worked as Giari's bodyguard, and she's aware that Giari even wrote a song for him. Their history is complicated, and Sophia can't ignore it. Jackson insists that this is strictly business and promises that once everything is settled, he will come back to her. But Sophia refuses to listen, and the two part ways on bad terms. With no choice but to focus on the job, Jackson heads to Gina's nightclub to investigate. Once he meets Gina, Jackson gets straight to the point and brings up Giari. Although Gina initially assumes Jackson has come looking for trouble, he still invites him into his office. When Jackson explains that Giari has gone missing and that he was hired to find her, Gina finally relaxes. Gina reveals that a few weeks earlier, Giari had talked about wanting a quieter life and feeling exhausted by the chaos surrounding her career. Beyond that, he claims to know nothing. Still, Jackson insists that Gina try calling her. After several unanswered calls, Gina's concern turns into panic. Certain that something is wrong, he decides they should go to Giari's house immediately. When they arrive, they find the place completely trashed. Gina loses control, desperately calling out for her, while Jackson stays calm and observant. He notices an invitation card discarded in the trash and quietly pockets it, already forming his next plan. Gina, on the other hand, is ready to unleash his people to search everywhere. But Jackson stops him, explaining that rushing blindly will only make things worse. He convinces Gina to wait until Sunday, promising that if Giari is not found by then, they can take more aggressive action. Later that night, Jackson attends a party connected to the invitation. Halen greets him enthusiastically, curious about why he's there. Jackson explains that he found the card at Giari's apartment and came hoping to uncover new clues. As Halen is about to continue the conversation, his attention is suddenly drawn to a woman in a red dress, and he quickly moves away to engage her. Jackson continues observing the room and notices Juwani talking with someone. Approaching confidently, he asks about how Halen managed to win the Person of the Year award. Juwani subtly points out that the woman in the red dress is named Yuan Song. She reveals that Yuan Song has supported Halen's company since the very beginning, and is now pushing hard for it to go public. Nearby, Sophia strikes up a conversation with Yuan Song, and the two seem to get along well. As they talk, Jackson slowly walks over and greets Sophia, setting the stage for another uncomfortable but unavoidable encounter. Although Sophia is still clearly upset, she politely introduces Jackson to Yuan Song. Yuan Song seems to have a decent first impression of him, but Jackson doesn't waste time on small talk. He immediately asks if she knows anything about Giari's whereabouts. Yuan Song brushes it off, saying she has only met Giari once, then calmly excuses herself. When Jackson tries to press further, her bodyguards step in and block his path. Before leaving, Yuan Song turns back and asks what else Jackson wants to know. He questions her involvement in helping Halen win his recent award. With that, she walks away again. Sensing that tensions are rising, she quickly leaves with her guards. Once they are out of sight, she angrily scolds them for their rude behavior, making it clear that embarrassing her again would cost them their jobs. Later, Sophia stops him, insisting they finally talk things through. They head to a quiet warehouse, where Jackson opens up. Over the past 2 days, he has been in constant fights, no longer protected by his old police badge, and stuck doing dangerous work that has left him exhausted. He admits that he avoided contacting her because he didn't want to pull her into his troubles. Instead of softening, Sophia becomes angry. She tells him he never truly understood her, and reminds him that she is not weak. She wants to face hardships alongside him, not be shut out. Hearing this moves Jackson deeply. It's something she has never said to him before. For the first time, they speak honestly, clearing away the misunderstandings that had been building between them. The next morning, as the two are leaving the apartment, chaos erupts without warning. Gunfire breaks the silence. Jackson reacts instantly, grabbing a nearby gun and knocking one of the attackers off his bike. When the helmet comes off, Jackson sees the attacker's face clearly. He tries to finish the fight, but the gun jams, allowing the shooter to escape. Jackson rushes back to Sophia and realizes she has been shot in the shoulder. Her condition is serious. He calls the police and stays by her side at the hospital. Watching her lie there helpless fills him with rage. Jackson prepares for a more direct approach. He retrieves a gun he had hidden away and heads to a local Chinese bar. Holding up the helmet left behind by the attacker, Jackson demands answers. Instead of cooperating, the men inside mock him and surround him. Jackson strikes first, using the helmet as a weapon. Within moments, the fight is over, ending with a dramatic gunshot that silences the room. He corners one terrified thug and forces him to reveal the truth. The attacker is identified as Jin Sununlo, a freelance assassin operating in Gwinnett Park, working with a partner named Bruce Lee. Satisfied, Jackson fires one final shot into the wall, revealing that the gun was loaded with paint rounds. Painful, but non-lethal. Fueled by anger, Jackson storms into Halen's office. He demands answers and accuses him of playing games, asking directly whether Giari's disappearance is connected to Yuan Song. Cornered, Halen finally admits the truth. His company is in serious financial trouble, and he has been forced to borrow money from Yuan Song at extremely high interest, just to stay afloat. At first, everything between Halen and Yuan Song seemed stable, but half a month later, the situation took a terrifying turn. Yuan Song suddenly demanded full repayment and abducted Giari as leverage. She made it clear that Halen had 5 days to return every cent, or Giari would be killed. Jackson questions what Yuan Song would gain from murdering Giari, and Halen explains the cold logic behind it. Giari is a global pop star, and her death would instantly turn her music into priceless collectibles. Yuan Song could profit massively from selling the rights and royalties afterward. Halen never truly wanted Giari rescued. In fact, he was willing to let her die if it meant saving his company from collapse. Jackson urges him to stop. Pressing a gun against Halen's leg, he forces him to reveal Yuan Song's location. Meanwhile, Gina is keeping Sophia company at the hospital, playing cards to distract her. Jackson arrives, checks on Sophia's condition, and learns that she is stable and may be discharged the next day. He asks her to stay a little longer, promising that everything will be over soon. Sophia admits that being shot made her truly understand how dangerous Jackson's life is. She once stood beside him without fear, but now she doesn't know what choice to make. Jackson asks her not to decide yet and to wait until he finishes what he started. Outside the room, Jackson tells Gina that he has finally located Giari. That same night, the two prepare a rescue plan together. Elsewhere, Halen is being brutally beaten by Yuan Song's men. She is furious that he tried to shift blame by hiring Chinese assassins, making it appear that the attempt on Jackson's life was her doing. Worse still, Jackson survived, and even came looking for Halen himself. Yuan Song demands the truth, but Halen lies, claiming ignorance. She reminds him that only his debt is keeping him alive, and has him thrown out without mercy. That night, Jackson and Gina infiltrate Yuan Song's warehouse. From their vantage point, they see that Giari is guarded by only one man. Even so, Jackson moves cautiously, planning to lure the guard away and enter quietly. Gina, however, takes a more direct approach, using a grappling device to slide across to the opposite rooftop. When Jackson follows, the rope malfunctions, but he manages to land safely. Jackson tosses a stink bomb into the warehouse, forcing the guard to react. Moments later, Money arrives disguised as an environmental inspector, using official pressure to gain access. While the guard hesitates, Giari requests to use the restroom, giving the team a narrow opening. As confusion spreads, the head guard orders his men to destroy evidence and relocate Giari immediately. Before they can act, the guard watching Giari is suddenly attacked from behind. Giari escapes and hides nearby, unaware that the sounds she hears are actually Jackson and Gina searching for her. When they discover the unconscious guard outside the restroom, they realize Giari managed to fight back on her own. Believing she has gone downstairs, Jackson tells Gina to take the elevator while he stays behind to secure the floor. Soon after, the guards realize Giari is missing and begin a frantic search. On the first floor, Gina steps out of the elevator only to have a gun pointed at his head. Just in time, Money steps in, claiming Gina is staff. When suspicion remains, Money creates a gas leak scare, forcing the guard to back down and lower his weapon. The rescue is now in motion, but time is running out. Downstairs, Gina tries to act calm by lighting a cigar, but the guard immediately knocks it away. In response, Gina pulls out 2 guns and demands to know where Giari is being held. At the same time, upstairs, Jackson finally finds Giari. He tells her to stay hidden for now, promising to return once the guards are dealt with. What he doesn't realize is that complete chaos has already erupted below. As Money attempts to put out the cigar, the guard strikes it away again. This time, it lands directly on the leaking gas. The warehouse alarm blares and panic spreads instantly. In the confusion, everyone risks their lives just to get Gina out safely. On the second floor, Jackson suddenly comes face to face with Simon. The two size each other up, but Jackson has no interest in dragging things out and reaches for his gun. Before he can act, another guard joins the fight, and even Jackson struggles against their combined attack. Simon manages to grab the fallen gun and fires, but the bullet is miraculously stopped by Jackson's phone. Regaining his focus, Jackson breaks away and rushes back to Giari. Using a prepared rope, Jackson and Giari slide down to the first floor, where Gina, Money, and the others have already managed to escape. Enraged by the failure, Yuan Song lashes out, blaming her own men for letting everything slip out of control. Jackson immediately takes Giari to the hospital. Soon after, Gina arrives and is reunited with his girlfriend. Once his wounds are treated, Jackson speaks privately with Giari. Halen is finished, and Yuan Song will soon take over his company. However, Halen had trapped Giari with an unfair contract locked inside his office safe. Jackson promises to retrieve it for her. Afterward, Jackson goes to check on Sophia, only to find her hospital room empty. A nurse informs him that Sophia was discharged earlier than expected. Realizing something is wrong, Jackson confirms his fear. Yuan Song has made a move. Jackson and Gina rush to Halen's company. Along the way, Jackson calls Juwani and urgently asks her to delay Sophia at the reception desk. When Sophia arrives, Juwani asks her to answer a phone call. Jackson warns her that Yuan Song is behind the assassination attempts. At first, Sophia doesn't believe him, but when Jackson explains how Yuan Song contacted her directly through the hospital, Sophia finally understands. She hides her panic, asks to use the restroom, and then escapes through the stairwell. By the time Yuan Song realizes what's happened, Sophia is already gone. Jackson and Gina arrive at the building moments later. Their plan to split up fails when they discover Yuan Song's men have already surrounded the parking lot. A fierce fight erupts. Jackson holds the front line alone, while Gina changes into a suit and arms himself. By the time Gina is ready, Jackson has already cleared the guards outside. Inside the building, the situation grows even more dangerous. Guards swarm the halls, forcing Jackson to fight while moving forward. Upstairs, Simon tries to escort Yuan Song away, changing routes when gunfire breaks out. But fate catches up with them when Simon and his partner run straight into Jackson. The confrontation is unavoidable. They rush him together, but within moments, Jackson overwhelms them both. The path forward is finally clear. Simon and Smiley attack together, wielding hammer and fists, keeping Jackson on the defensive. The fight is intense and evenly matched, but a brief misstep gives Jackson the opening he needs. He seizes the hammer, turns the tide, and quickly takes down Simon and Smiley one by one. Just then, Yuan Song appears. Jackson warns her to stop. Giari is still alive, and walking away now could save her from disaster. But Yuan Song refuses. A sudden scream pierces the air. Juwani is tied to a chair, suspended high above the ground. Jackson moves to save her, but Yuan Song blocks him, and a deadly sword fight erupts. At first, neither gains the upper hand, but Yuan Song fights ruthlessly and cuts the rope. Jackson grabs hold just in time, defending himself against her relentless attack. At the crucial moment, Sophia intervenes with a high-pressure water gun, scattering Yuan Song and saving Juwani. With the immediate threat gone, Jackson goes to Halen's office to retrieve the unfair contracts controlling Giari. He discovers that Gina has already transferred Halen's recording company into Giari's name, freeing her from the people who once controlled her life. The danger finally over, The group walks out of the building with a sense of relief and closure. Sophia now fully understands Jackson. She sees the man behind the violence, a man guided by justice and responsibility. Perhaps, finally, they have a future together. If you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments below.